If you are really having to make a choice between these two cars, I envy you. I really do. I'm not married, I don't have any kids, and I would happily live with either of these cars every day. They're that good. And so today I have the unenviable task of deciding which might be the better buy. How long do we have? The first Audi Q7 was on the market for nearly a decade. In the car world, that's practically an eternity. And it was born into the pre-financial crisis years where heady spending and excess were the order of the day. So it was a bit bloated, but it sold well nonetheless. Fast forward to 2015, and the word of the day is austerity. And so Audi have made sure that the Q7 looks restrained. But I think they might have gone a bit too far. It's maybe even plain from some angles, which is interesting, because if I had told you 10 years ago that a Volvo would look better and more elegant than an Audi, you might have told me that I was mad. Arguing about which one looks better is just futile. You'll have your favorites and there's nothing I can do about that. You're here to find out how these cars drive, what they cost, how many kids you can squeeze in the back, and whether the boot will swallow all of your family's things. So, how do these cars drive? Well, let's start with the Volvo. Rumbling away up front under the bonnet is a 2-litre turbo diesel. That's it, 2 litres. That's the biggest engine you can get in the XC90. And you'd think then that this car would be about as exciting as Swedish Parliament, but it's actually good to drive. It's quite quick off the mark, it's nippy. Never thought I'd describe an XC90 as nippy. And it feels light through the steering. It hides its weight and its size really well, and you never feel like there's a lack of power. But the engine does have to work a bit harder to move this car around. So it's averaging 9.7 to the 100, where our Audi is averaging 8.7. If I had to be picky, I'd say that the engine is a bit grumbly at low speeds. There's a little bit more cabin noise than you get in the Audi. And the ride is firm. It's very smooth, but it's definitely on the firm side. Into the Audi now, and you can immediately feel that this car is smaller than the model it replaces. But more importantly, it's 300 kilograms lighter, and that has a whole host of benefits. Firstly, the 3-litre twin-turbo diesel V6 up ahead doesn't have to work so hard to move this car around, so fuel economy is better. And all that power and all that torque, all 600 Newton meters of it, can go towards making this car quite quick. It's not slow at all. You can really get a hurry on in this thing. But where the Audi really shines is ride comfort. It is an exceptionally comfortable car. Smooth, very, very quiet. In fact, in terms of ride quality, whether it's long distance cruising or day-to-day running around, this might be one of the best cars I've ever tested. On to the very important matter of boot space. Now, I have been told on 3 separate occasions by people who actually have children that if you can slide a pram long ways into a car boot, well, that's just the best thing ever. So as you can see, the Q7 copes with that very well. Let's move on to the Volvo. And again, it's very easy for the XC90. Still loads of space in front. I get the feeling that the Volvo's boot is slightly longer and slightly deeper. But I think our cars are coping with this challenge a bit too well. What if you have one of these? Now, I have no idea how this thing folds. So, well, let's see. Here we go. Ah, look at that. The Volvo just gobbles that up. Still loads of space. I have a feeling that this won't be as easy in the Q7. Oh, it's tight. The boot opening is definitely not as big. It's hitting the roof. I think it can do it though. It's just in. It's touching the roof. Will it be able to close? This is going to be close. This is so dramatic. Yes, it does. But I definitely think this is a victory for the Volvo. Welcome to the interior of the Q7, and I have to commend Audi. It is superb in here. The build quality is exceptional, and there are some really nice touches. For instance, this gear lever, which doubles up as a rest for your wrist. So when you're using the writing pad, for instance, in the navigation function, it's just a lot more comfortable. That screen pops in and out of the dashboard, and in front of the driver is the same digital display which you get in the Audi TT. It's wonderfully crisp and very customizable. You can have your media or your sat nav all in front of you at the touch of a button. It's all at your fingertips. It's very, very hard to fault the interior in this Q7. Over into the Volvo now, and things are a bit different. Where the Q7 shrinks around you, the Volvo is a much more roomy cabin. And where the Q7 feels like a very fancy restaurant, the Volvo feels a bit like a spa. I feel like I'm waiting in the lobby for my massage. Of course, it's very technical in here as well. We've got a digital screen for the driver, very similar to the Audi, but I must admit, not nearly as good. And then instead of having the screen far away and a writing pad and lots of knobs, Volvo's got rid of all of that and brought the touchscreen forward to the driver. And genuinely, this is the best touchscreen system on the market. It's just inspired, super easy to use, very, very responsive. That's a wonderful piece of tech from Volvo. Either cabin though, either interior is super comfortable. You won't be disappointed with both. But here's a tip. Do not take the beige interior in the Volvo. It gets really dirty really easily. New car pricing can be quite complicated, and so to clear things up, Dave has kindly agreed to bring our Cars.co.za board of important things. Now let's start with the pricing of the Audi as standard. It's 924,000, which is quite close to the Volvo's pricing of 912,000. But these test units, as they stand here this morning, 975,000 for the Volvo, 1,146,800 for the Audi. Now obviously the Audi has a lot more toys and a lot more features. Things like the panoramic sunroof aren't cheap, but even at that price tag, it's missing a few things. The third row of seats in the Volvo, that's standard, 20,000 Rand, but more than 20,000 Rand in the Audi. The digital display for the driver in the Volvo, that's standard. In the Audi, it's a 9,000 Rand option. And if you want the same 20-inch wheels that the Volvo comes with, you need to fork out another 30,000 Rand on the Audi. So on the face of it, at least, the Volvo XC90 does look like much better value. Right, decision time. Wow, this is tough. This is probably the closest comparison that I've ever had to make. And if I have to pick a winner, I'd have to say the Q7 is the better car. And rightfully it should be. It is more expensive. The Q7 does a lot for the person sitting right here. It's a great car for the driver. But if I had a family, if I had lots of things that I needed to cart around all the time, I'd take the Volvo. It's well thought out. It's a clever car that it's designed for families. I hope I'm not being too diplomatic.